All right, recording. Hello, this is Freebooters. This is Drew. Sometimes people refer to him as my co-host, and I feel that's a bit unfair. And
I find that insulting. I prefer the term sidekick.
no, you're not a sidekick. We're the
I am. No,
Freebooters.
I think I am psychologically, naturally a sidekick. I think I slot into that role, but because I don't want the responsibility.
I don't know. Well, you're the best sidekick if that was the case.
I don't find being second in command demeaning at all. That is my preferred. That is my preferred. I'm a lieutenant, not a whatever is above a lieutenant.
Yeah, I
Lieutenant,
get
fuck
that.
me.
Lieutenant. Yeah, yeah, gone all American, aren't
Oh, America. I've been so Americanized by talking to Danny so much. It's disgusting.
I mean, I think we
I,
all are to a degree, aren't we?
I've defaulted to saying movie.
Oh, movie. Let's go and watch a
And
movie.
here's one
That's
that,
weird.
you know the long seat in a living room.
The sofa.
Growing up, what did you call that? Was it sofa?
I think it's sofa, yeah.
Yeah. See, to me, it was settee.
Oh, I've heard settee. Yeah, settee's fine. I think my parents said
Yeah,
settee.
I think that is quite regionally specific to this part of the middle or the part of the Midlands I grew up and across the border in Wales.
Yeah.
Bits of Wales, like nowhere else says settee. So I always have to code switch. I mean, it's a very minor code switching, but if I'm talking to English people, I'll go sofa, and if talking to Americans, I'll say couch.
Yeah, I've never. I know.
I never get to say my native word. I never get to say settee to anybody.
Settee is kind of like British, isn't it?
I don't know what I think it is very regional. They're also like everything in British culture. It's so class stratified as well. It's not just class. There are other things that intersect with class, but yeah, like working class. Yeah, what you say depends on where you are and your social class.
But
For
I mean,
something as stupid as the seating in the living room.
but to me, settee sounds posher.
No, it does. Yeah, which is weird. Yeah,
But is sofa the
that
posh
might
one?
maybe that came from my dad's side. Although I think all the people the other working class families, I think they said settee as well when I was growing up.
Do
My
posh
dad's
people
side
say
was a little bit
sofa?
better than mine.
I don't know. Are you sure this is a thing?
Does that there was that online test you could do where you it asks you a bunch of questions like that game where you chase each other and tap each other as children, what did you call that?
Oh yeah,
What did you
tig
call
tag, and I called it tag at school.
yeah. And when you answered all these questions, for me at least, and I think for most people, especially in Britain, it could narrow down where you grew up to like within like 5 miles. It was
Yeah,
really,
no,
5 miles might be an exaggeration, but yeah.
It got me. It got me to within I feel like a segment of my county. At least it got it. It got it to the corner of my county because if you go to the opposite end of Manchester, not Manchester, what the fuck, Monmouthshire, you would get slightly more Welshier kind of slang and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas ours was more like West Country, a little bit of West Country thrown in there, a little bit of Gloucestershire, that kind of thing.
And I was Stoke-on-Trent, which is a very like microcosmy kind of.
Oh yeah,
We talked about that last time, didn't we? Like there was a lack of social mobility in Britain compared to like America or even some European countries. I think till quite wasn't probably until the 70s where people started getting a bit mobile, going to university and living in a place other than where they grew up. Working class and middle class people. So yeah, so accents really fucking stuck, and they're very, very. Just like I say, like I go to I can travel a mile and hear a different accent.
yeah, no, definitely
across the border into Derbyshire.
I hear plenty of people around here, and it feels like a non-native accent. It feels like a foreign accent to me. No, I mean I'm the foreigner.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like
Yeah.
like, but
I know what you mean. Yeah, you're from 15 miles away. You're a foreigner.
it feels if sometimes it does feel a little bit like that. It's it's just a foreign accent in a way. But
I think that's very uncommon. Like I know Russia apparently, this is based on my memory of what Katya told me a while back, is like in Russia, unless somebody is from a particular ethnic group in some of the regions or whatever, you can't tell where somebody's from based on their accent in Russia.
I mean, in
And I think
America,
you got the very distinct accents at the sort of like at the corners
York.
almost.
We're from New York.
Yeah. The little sort of insular microcosms. But broadly, like for the whole of like, I mean, it's probably different if you're American. You're probably more sensitive to American accent, but we're exposed to them a lot. But like for me, Like the whole like.
Minnesota. I am from Minnesota.
I love that. I love the Minnesota accent. But the whole of the South, but not the deep South, where it's just got that sort of like cowboyish kind of like, and then all through like the mountainy states in the middle, a good portion of the Midwest, and then down into the South West. That's all. I couldn't tell most of those accents apart. I don't think.
No, I think I could draw a few lines. So there's that California kind of accent.
Yeah, the worst accent.
You got the various sort of southern accents. That do seem really to me quite similar, but I'm sure Americans would find them more distinct. And then,
I'm not sure they do though, because when I ask American friends, they can't tell, those accents apart.
But we've got to remind ourselves how big America really is, to be honest.
It's big and it's had a lot of population churn. Again, we're very sort of like insular and we didn't move around much.
Yeah,
I think we are almost unique with the. I mean, they're dying off as well. Like my parents had far stronger regional accents than me, and my grandparents. I think I've said before. I struggled to understand my grandparents if they were speaking socially with their peers.
Yeah.
In fact, I couldn't understand a great deal of what they were saying.
Is it a good thing that there is like more population churn these days, or is it one of those things that like there's good elements and bad elements to it?
I think it's one of those things where it's good that people have the freedom, but when that freedom is mediated by capitalism and it's not really free, you're not really choosing, you're going where you have to. Then I think that, also obviously the downside being you lose that sense of community. When you've got generations of, and this isn't in any way to exclude immigrants from this, that's not any part of what I'm saying. But when you've got like generations of families who have known each other for generations, then you just naturally have a sense of community. You can't not.
Yeah, but then sometimes you'll also get those like deep community rifts that can be incredibly toxic.
That's true, yeah.
And so I totally think like I know this isn't necessarily a new thing, but it definitely seems more normal now, where you travel, you move for the purposes of work. And I find that...
And moving to the purpose of work means gravitating towards the metropoles. So the metropoles get more and more crowded and awful, and the country is just a place for rich people to retire or rich people to commute from.
Yeah, or just like super deprived with the pockets of people who don't have jobs.
Yeah, the places that aren't pretty,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, before we move on from America, though, I think one thing I find really interesting is that the people I've known in America, Danny's a prominent current one, who are from the South, because in the South, that Southern accent, if you're, a generally liberal, normal person, that Southern accent is a signifier of like backwardness, stupidity, racism, those kind of things.
Well, that's a stereotype,
and yet,
isn't it?
Yeah, but that's how Americans see that accent.
Okay, yeah.
But externally, the entire rest of the world, and I think that's pretty uniform, that Southern accent is basically the only one we like. It's by far the nicest one. That, and I think that the pronounced Midwest, Minnesota-y kind of like that's like Birmingham. It's kind of fun rather than.
It's nearly Canadian as well.
And it's nearly Canadian. Yeah, we do Canadian accents great. But yeah, the rest of the world loves that Southern accent.
Yeah.
And in America, they hate it. And I think it was almost a culture shock for Danny to encounter people who like that accent.
I say.
I do declare.
I do declare.
I've always wanted to, whenever I always wanted to refer to it as the Vapors.
Oh, I got me a case of the Vapors.
The Vapors.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So, I don't know. To me, like the idea of like moving for a job though is kind of a bit. I don't know. It's a bit mad, to be honest. Is that a capitalism thing, or is that just?
It's capitalism, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also a division of labor thing to an extent, but things don't have to be that concentrated. That's an efficiency that's good for capital but bad for humans, I think, to an extent.
Yeah,
and I think we apply the same system globally. There are poor countries that we intentionally keep poor to provide so that they are motivated to come and work here. And then liberals will say, "Isn't it great that immigration provides so much color?" And it's like those people aren't necessarily coming out of choice, a free choice. They're coming out of an economic necessity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit fortunate in so far as a bus driver, I can move where I want to, and there's a good chance
Yeah,
there'll be
yeah.
work there. They
And
have a
you can also go rural or urban, right? You can just choose.
yeah. I do worry that urban is boring as hell. You're just going around small city routes again and again and again, and
Yes, I would imagine that's subjective. I imagine some people would just prefer that.
some
Like
people
cities are
unfortunately
exciting and vibrant, and blah 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 blah.
they're easier routes, I believe. But
They would see country roads and stuff as boring, maybe.
I think they'd see them as like I don't know. They're longer, complex, more
Mm,
challenging in different
mm,
ways.
mm.
You have to deal with like all kinds of natural hazards, narrow roads, getting a car down a narrow village with cars parked everywhere. Like it's a different kind of skill that it requires almost.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
But I quite yeah. I mean, I love doing the country routes and watching spring come in is delightful, really.
I think for me though, overall,
Mhm.
I think I mean I'm anti-borders, so I'd apply this globally. Everybody should be free to go wherever they want,
Mhm.
but there should be no necessity to move.
Mm.
So if you like, because I like growing up in the place where my parents lived and know the community that comes from that small community. I like that very much. I'm a very much a stay where you are person.
Yeah.
But other people would hate that. So there should be the freedom, but not the necessity. I think.
Yeah, I mean, is yeah. I mean, it's one of those cases of I guess it is what it is, right? Like it's going to bring
Mm,
something like I don't know the sense of community and like you say with the the sort of the humanity sort of side of things with like McDonald's and not having people it does feel a little bit
yeah.
like we're living in a world where we put ourselves in our little like metal bubbles to separate ourselves a little bit more than we might have used to.
Well, it's the Thatcher thing, isn't it? There's no such
Yeah.
thing as society. There's the individual and there's the family. I think that's what she said, and that's kind of where we are now. Like generally speaking, I think especially like suburban people and urban people, like don't even really know their neighbors. They might say hello or whatever, but it's not like living here.
Mm.
Like I mean, I barely leave the house. I don't leave the house, so I don't know my neighbors in that sense. But even then, if I happen to be in the garden and it's like summer. Like there'll be a shout over the fence, like, "Do you need any beans? Like we've got extra beans. We grew beans. We got extra beans." And like fucking cardboard box of like broad beans or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It like I still sit. I like the thing about the buses. I know it's the only thing I talk about these days. I'm sorry. Um,
No, it's
is that it does actually feel it has definitely made me feel like there is still that bit of life in the UK.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but it also feels like when I drive past car after car after car with one person at a time in it in a traffic
yeah,
jam,
yeah.
thinking,
Mm,
we have bus lanes. It would be quicker to bus in, and
mm.
I feel like there are a lot of people that just don't consider the bus because they think it's beneath them or because they just
Well,
sort of
we've been conditioned to not only accept that atomization but
mm,
value it.
yeah,
Like that's almost the point of having a car is that you can be on your own.
yeah,
For you.
yeah, yeah, and I do like I'm not a super like man of the people type thing. Like I'm not
I think of you as a man of the people.
you what.
I think of you as a man of the people.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I get,
Anyway, go on. Go on with your point. Sorry.
but I don't ever want to be the kind of person that chooses to sort of like shield themselves from the social
Mm,
world around them.
from like literal human life.
Yeah, like you, I could happily sit on my Todd for weeks at a time
Mm,
and barely talk to another person, and that would be fine with me. But
mm.
I don't want to live in a world where everyone does that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
I think in terms of being social or whatever, I'm
yeah.
perfectly happy on my own for long stretches, but I'm also perfect. I very much enjoy being around people. I don't strongly gravitate one way or the other, which I think is good. Like just a balance, like take it
Yeah.
as it comes, kind of.
Yeah, I'm not a party animal, I guess is what I might have used to have been,
Yeah, no,
but
I mean, me either, no, no.
yeah. But
But that's not. I think that your parties, certainly as we think of them, they're not. They're like a substitute for community rather than community. I think.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. But
They're
you,
what you do when you don't have community. Not that people have community and never have parties, but it's a different character of party, I think.
I maybe, I guess, I don't know. That's a new idea. That's a new thought. Party, like it's organized community events.
Because like if you live in natural, like imagine not in the shitty American hippie-ish way, but if you imagine if you live in a very communal situation, it's kind of like every day's a party. You know what I mean? If you want to do fun stuff with a bunch of people, you can do it whenever you want.
That's kind of like university, isn't it? Where you've kind of actually got a
Yeah.
community really there when you're at university.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really a rolling party when you're at university.
Yeah. Although it's sort of it feels like a rolling community as it were.
Mm,
Yeah. And to be honest, when I go to we have community events around here. We have like the Carnival of Transport. We have car boot sales and local shows and stuff.
yeah.
And I really like that. I much those little
Yeah.
local event things.
Yeah.
I prefer them to a party because
Yeah.
you get to show up. You get to usually eat something interesting. You are where the people are. You feel like you're where it's happening, and you can go home when you're tired, and it's fine. Like it's just yeah. Whereas I don't know. I feel
And there's nothing on this earth worse than a middle class dinner party.
I don't know if I've ever been to one, to be honest.
I've been to maybe a dozen or something. And always painful. Like an actual posh dinner party,
Yeah.
I enjoy. Like an actual, borderline aristocracy dinner party. That's
right,
really
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
But like just a middle class dinner party is it's so stilted. It's just soul crushing.
It's like the one in Severance. They have that in Severance, don't they?
Where is it in Severance?
I think it might even be at like the beginning of the first season where they
I remember it. Yeah.
where he's got some like is it like Mark or someone else? They have like really pretentious friends.
It's the one who's written the book, isn't it? That Mark's
Yes, that's the
sisters-
one. Yeah, yeah,
It's him banging on about his stupid fucking book, and everybody's like,
yeah.
And that's yeah.
That's kind of like how it feels. But okay. So one of the things we were talking about before we came on, I want to pick your brain at, and I'd be interested if anyone else has any opinions about this. But we were going to play some Divinity before we realised you hadn't had it installed.
I'm currently installing it.
Because you deleted the Steam folder or something, didn't you?
Like months ago. Yeah, or a while back at least.
Yeah. And I don't I sort of did I forget or like wasn't sure like how do we stream it? Do we record it? And then you thought like well, it's fine by me if you just don't do anything. Like we just play the game. And I really like.
Not that that's. I don't have a particular preference for me. For me, it's like I say, you're the one who does the work, the mental effort of being the streamer and also the recording it or whatever. So for me, it's the same either way, really.
Yeah, I mean, I really like playing Divinity with you. It's excellent. There's a part of me that feels like I want to have like a door open so that people can join us as and when they want.
Yeah.
Because I feel, or that people can enjoy it almost as some sort of way of like sharing the experience that we have. I feel, like to sort of try and.
I think when you get right down to it, it's probably not a game that really facilitates that. It's not a very watchable game really, unless you very specifically want to watch that particular game. And I don't think there were many people that were particularly interested in watching it. It was more. Like when there were a decent number of people there, it was kind of like we forgot to play the game. We were just having a chat, which is fine.
Yeah.
But in that case, we might as well just
crack
we might as well just voice chat at that point. You know what I mean? Just have a chat.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I mean, yeah. So that sort of leads me around to think we should just crack on and play it, and then we don't have to like worry about playing for a certain amount of time. We could play for 10 minutes if we wanted to, or whatever.
Yeah. I think when we get into the multiplayer Morrowind, I think that might be a more fun one to stream.
Yeah.
People can be like, do this, do that, because we're just playing with it. Really, we've both played the game enough that we're not trying to like finish it or anything. We're just having fun with it. Yeah,
and also I want to go through Deus Ex Invisible War with you as well.
Yeah, because we did the other one, didn't we? Yeah. No, we need to do that. Yeah.
The thing about Invisible War that I really like is that it's incredibly political. Like it
really is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's political in interesting ways as well. Like it it gives you a lot to think about. And I like the fact that there's no ideal outcomes. You kind of have to settle. I don't know what out. I still to this day don't have like an ending that I would choose reliably. Just not the fascist one.
Yeah, I lean towards I lean towards the Omar, but that's more just
Accelerationist kind of.
fuck it,
Yeah.
like fuck it, let's give it a go. Because the other ones are all, to me, bad in some way. Whereas that one's, I mean, that one's bad in a very different way. It's not bad in the way that the other ones are bad.
Well, the thing is, it says in the Omar ending that there's lots of war, but basically the world is fucked because it did lots of war. Like if you're,
Yeah.
whereas the Illuminati ending is a bit more like status quo neoliberalism. However, one thing I will say about the status quo neoliberalism ending is that as presented in Deus Ex, it was at least portrayed as competent. Whereas,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Whereas-
which makes it more interesting. It makes it a more tempting choice
yeah,
because it wasn't really. Yeah,
You look at a lot of neoliberalism about today, and it's just a fuck show. Like
It's an absolute fuck shit.
it's just ridiculous. Yeah, and it's like because there is that I see at least to a degree the aesthetic appeal of the centrist liberal who's like, I believe in rights. I think that we should have checks and balances on the economy, but at the same time, if you grow the economy, it's good for all, that kind of thing. Like, don't get me wrong, that's not what I subscribe to, but I see the sort of the appeal of the.
I mean, that would be fine if you weren't simultaneously invading various countries, funneling weapons to places that are doing genocide. It's
Yeah.
that's. I mean, even then, I wouldn't be the biggest fan of it, like you say. But at least then it's not just outright fucking
I mean,
bullshit.
presumably under that type of liberalism, war would be bad because it's bad for business on the whole, right? Like, it's good.
Well, that was the logic of the past, but under neoliberal American capitalism they make a enormous amount of profit out of war. The arms manufacturers and all. It's not just the arms manufacturers; it's everything that supplies them, all the sort of logistics involved in that. They make a ton of, and this is something that's come up because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts by like military people about the Iran thing, and something that's come up is that. There's lots of reasons why America's military is like poorly designed, and one of them is there's no incentive amongst the weapon manufacturers to actually win the war. They make money either way. You can even argue they make more money. They make more money out of a long, drawn-out war that you don't win.
Oh shit, man! Of course.
It's almost like the Democrats, like the motivation, the incentive within the Democrats to not win. It's a similar thing.
It's like like the pharmaceutical industry to not come up with a cure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's kind of no, that's a dead good point. That is.
And now that Europe's got on board with this military Keynesianism, as they're calling it, and that they want they've seen that this works, and they want a forever war in Ukraine. We'll do it a little bit differently because it's Europe, but it will lean more Keynesian. But it's basically like, that can give us. We're struggling for productivity and jobs, so a perpetual war would be great. We could, just everybody works at a weapons manufacturer. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I will say as a little bit of a side note that. Like military collaboration amongst Europe is something that I'd much rather have over something like NATO.
Not as it's currently heading, because they do just want this perpetual war in Ukraine. And if the Ukraine war ends, then they've got the same. Now we're in the same situation America's been in for the last 50 years, where we've got this army. It's not doing good for our economy unless we're using it. So where do we go stir up trouble?
That's very cynical.
That's very much where we are now. That's literally the explicit stated intention of the European powers.
To keep the Ukraine war going as long as possible.
Yeah. They are the ones who are literally using the term military Keynesianism.
Yeah.
Which is basically wars as a jobs program.
I don't see how that works.
Well, America, the way America's been working since the 70s, it makes an enormous amount of money.
Again, the term working is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, isn't it?
Yeah, working in a purely capitalistic lens, obviously. But
what's happening in Iran is like it's bollocksing up the entire supply chain of everything.
Yeah.
That's not good for capitalism.
Oh, Iran isn't working. Iran is not working. Iran is not working for America. Iran's going to destroy America.
Although, to be honest, this out of other conflicts as well, if conflict is the right term to use, has definitely outlined why we need to do everything we can to not be as reliant on oil. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, oh, the powers that be push us in that direction at every turn, and they do. But, it's time to resist, right? Well, the time to resist was fucking
This was like 30 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, absolutely, yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, again, we're always going to circle around to the problem is capitalism.
Yeah.
But one good thing that might come out of this is a push towards de-dollarization. I think Iran have been very smart with that.
Sorry, what?
De-dollarization, not using dollar. First of all, not using dollar as the default currency trading oil, and then further along down that road, not using the dollar as the global reserve currency because that just funds America.
Yeah, that'd be nice. What would you choose as your Bitcoin?
Well, going back to, I'm not a Keynesian because Keynes was a capitalist, but I think Keynes correctly identified how capitalism works. So I would agree with Keynes that the global trade currency and therefore the global reserve currency should be a currency that is invented for that purpose.
Okay, a theoretical currency.
Yeah, just a made up currency with various ways where you can assign it a value, but then it's nobody profits from that being used as you get me.
Yeah. Would that? But
going back to the European army thing, I did in the prior to the current absolute fucking idiots we've got in control of European countries. I would have agreed with you. I'd rather have a European army than the NATO army or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, can we just not have an army, please? We can't be trusted.
Why?
No, we can't be. Big power blocks can't be trusted with an army.
Why did Keir Starmer say it was okay for the US? Did he say that it was okay for the US to use their bases to launch attacks against Iran? Was that something recently he did?
I'm not sure he's gone that far, but we did send. It was weird from the beginning. Like we clearly didn't want to get involved, but we're so fucking sewn into this relationship with America that we have to. We are a vassal state of America.
But come on, it's not like Starmer's in the fucking Epstein files.
I mean, we don't know he's not.
Oh, he's not going to be. And then no one invites that man to a party, not even the middle-class bastards we were just talking about.
Can you imagine? Yeah, he would kill the party.
No,
probably not. No, it's more just, it's this relationship that we imagine with... So the deal in the past, since World War II, and this applies to the Arab nations currently as well, was that we got America's military... I mean, it is a vassalship relationship. We got America's military protection. And in return, we sort of give them whatever they want in terms of trade and foreign policy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they tell us to go to war with somewhere, we go to war somewhere. If they tell us how to, deal with our neighbors in terms of trade, we do that. And that was the deal. But now America's withdrawn that military protection, and we're still. And even from my point of view, back then the deal was not worth it. That is not a deal that's worth it. But now when they've withdrawn that military protection, the rest of Europe is going like, well. Fuck America then. We've got to find our own path. They're completely incompetent, so they're not choosing a sensible path. They're choosing military Keynesianism. But at least they've recognised that is not viable anymore. Whereas the UK, because we've always been, the closest to America in that sense, we're not having that realisation. We're still acting like we are in some way benefiting from this relationship with America. So we're continuing to be their vassal, their lapdog, whatever. So Trump was like, send your battleships, or your aircraft carrier. Starmer was like, really don't want to. Also, it's illegal. And then Cyprus got hit. I think that was a mistake on the Iranian part, hitting Cyprus. But I mean, it depends whether you care about the British getting. Anyway, that's broadly what's cracking.
Yeah. Well, I hope we. I don't know. God, America, stop. Please stop.
I mean, there was very strong. I mean, I think it's a little bit hopeful and hyperbolic, but there are very strong rumblings in relatively mainstream circles that this is basically this marks the beginning of the end for American empire.
I hear that all the time now.
No, but specifically because, like I said, like that realization that Europe's had, like the Arab countries are having that now. Like, because the deal was you put American military bases on your territory.
Yeah.
and in return for that, you get military protection.
And they're
But-
obviously
They're obviously not military protected because they are getting the shit bombed out of them right now. Like, I mean, Iran is generally speaking cleverly, it's destroyed the radar stations first of all, so that you can't intercept anything, and then they're destroying the military targets.
yeah.
With the obvious threat that if you don't fuck off, we'll start bombing things that you care about more. So the Arab nations are realizing like this protection from America is meaningless now. Well, I can't remember what was the point? Oh yeah, the end of American empire. So there's that realization that this supposed protection from America is meaningless. Combined with the moves towards de-dollarization, the demonstration that because America is a maritime nation like the British Empire used to be. Their power really comes from controlling global shipping.
Yeah.
In many places, but that's one of the things that their main power comes from, and that's why they have these wars. One of the reasons why they have these wars. And this is demonstrating that a relatively tiny country can take away that naval power that they have. They don't have that naval power anymore. They don't have the ability to. Plus, Belt and Road from China, moving more stuff over land. It all signals that the way the Americans have been doing things for the last 70 years is not going to work anymore, essentially.
To be honest,
why they're pushing for Greenland and Canada. They want to get complete control over that, because of global warming, the northern shipping route has opened up, and they want control over that.
That's incredibly opportunistic. To be honest, I'm starting to see the appeal of deals with China. Shall we ask if China want to do a special relationship?
Well, my thing is, like, America is clearly, if we talk about, like, rogue nations or whatever, like, who's done the most harm over the last century? It's quite clearly America.
Obviously.
Can we just all agree that they're the baddies?
It seems that
and can we have an Afro-Eurasian sort of like, I don't think it should be anything like the EU or UN or NATO or anything like that, but more along the lines of BRICS, where it's just mutual cooperation for mutual benefit. And with the embedded notion that, what is good for our neighbor is good for us. And non-interventionalist, just Afro-Eurasian, Africa, Asia, Europe, just all working together, including Russia. We'll bring Russia in, we'll rehabilitate Russia, bring Russia back into the fold, stop being antagonistic with Russia for this military Keynesian bullshit, and just work together
with Putin,
in cooperation. Yeah, I think it could, yeah. Putin, it's been very fucking clear from the start that the thing that gets his goat is NATO expansion. He's been talking about it for decades. If you go this far, we will do something about it. Like, it's very clear. I'm not saying that's the only motivation. I'm not saying Putin is. I think Putin's a very smart person. I think he's also quite evil. So it's not ideal. But it's that Chinese thing of, like, China's sort of foreign policy is rooted in this thing that we don't intervene in the internal politics of other countries. What you do it's kind of like neighborliness. Like, it might not be good.
Where should that end, though?
Yeah, I do think there's a point where, if you're clear, if you're literally doing an internal genocide, there's a line you can cross for sure. But the point being that in the last century we've been crossing it far too early, and then that invites the notion of, well, this would just be economically good for us, as an incentive to go and interfere in countries who, generally speaking, if they're not committing overt atrocities, leave countries alone and try and raise them up by increasing, improving their standards. It's the old liberal idea, which was kind of at the roots of neoliberalism, weirdly, that, countries that trade together don't go to war with each other. And generally, when you do that, countries just liberalize over time.
Yeah.
Become more. And I think that's, we sort of saw that as true in the wrong way, but I do think there's a sense in which that is true.
We got a lot of, like, steady forward progress through the 20th century with that kind of thinking, though. It was post-war thinking, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of, but it was off the back of all this extracted wealth from the global south, and we still have antagonistic. It's only true when you look at the first world countries, really. But I think it's. But
it doesn't have to be. That was just us being.
Well, I think in terms of, I'm not saying for everything, but in terms of foreign policy, I do think China should be a model where they are. Because what Western countries will do when they're claiming to invest in a country, like, the US investing in Mexico, is they will go in, like, Ford will go into Mexico, build a car plant. Ford owns the car plant. You're just building it there for cheap labor. All the profits got extracted and taken back to the US. So it's actually no good. It provides jobs, but it's no good for the Mexican economy. It just sort of locks them in place and prevents them from industrializing.
Yeah.
What China is doing is going in, building things like, factory infrastructure, industrial infrastructure, and basically saying, you own this, And there's either a debt in local currency
Mm-hmm.
at decent rates, or some kind of agreement about you own this, but we get privileged access to it for the next 20 years or something like that, which is just far more cooperative and
Humane, really.
actually doing good for the internal economy of the country you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I
Which
suppose,
is a more positive way of dealing with the world.
yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of it is the American capitalist attitude of squeeze them for everything they got, right? That
Well,
always,
it comes down to the zero sum. It's whether you see the world as zero sum or whether you see the world as, we can cooperate and all benefit.
yeah.
And clearly, historically, it's the latter, but capitalism by design sees it as the former.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, one of the things I think that is the problem is that companies basically are just too big now. When they hit a certain size, they seem to have an amount of sway that is just only damaging. Whether or not
I mean,
it's,
this is something that the early capital, like it's even Smith, the first person I said last time, he understood that. Like we know that it's not like that's not. Yeah, I don't know. I think the fundamental problem, I think, right now is the quality of leadership in Europe, in particular. They're just stupid. They're not as good as they used to be in the past in terms of smart and educated. They're just not as smart as they used to be. They're not. They don't get the historical context.
Is that a change in the style of elections, like the social mediaification of elections?
No, I think it's about education. I think, and I've talked particularly with Charles about this a lot. I mean, this is not the problem, but I think it's indicative of the problem. Like in Western universities, you don't read primary sources anymore, generally speaking. I'm talking about the humanities, the things that would feed into politics. Yeah. You don't read primary sources, and that's a real fucking problem.
So it's all news reporting and.
Well, it's all secondary sources. This is really fucking deep. But it essentially it turns on the cultural turn of the 1960s.
Okay.
Where I mean, it's very deep. It's probably too much to go into, but essentially, it's the old dead white men thing.
No.
Like academia can't just be like reading old dead white Europeans.
Yeah.
We got to do something about that. So everything has to be decolonized. So you're sort of throwing away all of the thought and then losing your sort of epistemological basis, basically, and then having to sort of invent it from scratch. And then you get things like deconstruction, postmodernism that are just sort of about rearranging things rather than actually looking at the history of knowledge and understanding it.
Yeah, so it's because I suppose the problem was so the issue with like decolonization is that the whole world was colonial for such a long time that.
Well, I mean, decolonization initially meant, literally geographically, we have this colony.
Yeah.
Let's decolonize them. Let's make them independent. But then it became, again, with the cultural turn, it became a thing applied to like the academic corpus.
Yeah.
Let's decolonize the academic corpus. There's too many European white men in here. Let's turn away from them because they're white European men, which is absurd. That is the basis of our culture, like it or not, in Europe. Our thought culture and European culture is largely, in terms of economics and politics, world culture to a great extent.
Yeah.
This is where the thought came from. If you don't know that, you don't understand the present.
So pretending it's not is sort of like rewriting history or ignoring parts of history.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's tokenistic, it's superficial, it's not really doing anything. I mean, and again, to be clear, like I'm not like search for women who've been overlooked because they're women. Search for black voices that have been overlooked because they're black. Absolutely do those things, but don't at the same time throw away the stuff that is literally the basis of how the world works today. And not understanding the thought that led to the world we have in the present is inherently going to lead you to make stupid fucking decisions, and that's what we're seeing with European leaders. I think I'm not saying that's like the sole cause, but I think it's all part of one bundle.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you know?
For anybody who's interested, Catherine Liu is very good on this stuff. Catherine Liu. She's she's much more eloquent, and I'm largely just parroting in my cobbled together way what I'm getting from her.
Yeah. I was for this freebooters. I was considering suggesting that we do a tier list of the letters of the alphabet.
That would have been a lot lighter than what this ended up with. I've got a YouTube recommendation.
Oh yeah, go on.
Okay, so let me just get the name. But what he is speaking of American regional accents, he's a a working class coded Chicago Italian botanist
Hmm.
who goes and now, well, I'll just read you the title of this series he's doing: "Spiritually Depraved and Misery-Inducing Landscapes of North America," episode 1, 2, 3. So we'll go to like a strip mall as a botanist and talk about sort of everything they're doing wrong. All this, non-native fauna that isn't, because he's in Texas.
Yeah.
And like this non-native fauna that cannot possibly survive here, requires irrigation when you could be planting these beautiful. It talks about these mesquite plants a lot, and these mesquite plants, they're amazing. They start off as a little just look like a weed, and then if left to their own devices, they become like a bush. But if you train them, they can become a tree, like a beautiful tree as well, with like drooping branches and stuff. There's one of his videos where he goes and shows like good examples of these, local plants that are part of because the point you made is something obviously I realized intellectually, but it didn't quite click in my head. It's not these ornamental plants that don't fit and you have to irrigate. Not only are they not suited to the environment, but they're not doing anything productive within the ecosystem because the local fauna can't make use of them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Broadly speaking, whereas the local fauna it has a role within the ecosystem as well as being suited to the terrain, which is obvious, but that didn't really click to me.
Yeah.
So it's very, and then one of the things he says is we should think of he's talking about landscaping and stuff like that. He's saying we should think of fauna as not fauna, flora, not as ornamentation but as infrastructure. And I thought that's a very, very interesting way to put it. And he just talks about the value of understanding your local plant life, your local animal life, how it all fits together, what it's all about, they're just really, and from a very, I would say, working class presentation, and it's really good. And the name of the channel is Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't.
Okay, crime pays but botany doesn't.
I'll link it. The videos are really great, really entertaining.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. A lowbrow. Okay, it's lowbrow. Departed from our usual middlebrow.
Yeah. Lowbrow, crass approach to plant ecology and evolution.
I've also got a YouTube recommendation. I've recommended this guy before, Chris Spargo. He did a video where he talks about the induction loops on all the things. So, do you know what an induction loop is?
Only very, very, very vaguely. Like for charging things? That kind of thing?
No. So
Okay.
it's the same sort of technology. That's the same sort of term. It is, if you've got a hearing aid, it is the thing that your hearing aid uses to pick up voice assistant stuff throughout the UK. It's the predominant technology in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else. But yeah, if you've got a hearing aid, you can go near an induction loop and it will feed into like a whatever information it feels that people who are deaf or hard of hearing need to help. It's
so those. I was going to say this might be a thing that's developed since I went into the world, but now I remember there were like posts with a deaf sign, like a lollipop post. Yeah. Okay.
And it's very interesting how they work, but they're not. And they're sort of everywhere. It's a bit of an invisible world, which was very fascinating. But they're bringing in a new version of this, a more updated version, because it's been the same since like the 70s. But the new system they've got is a bit more. I think it's like an extension of Bluetooth, and it's called like Aurascape or something like that. I can't remember the name exactly. And so it's so not only do people with hearing aids, now hearing aids nowadays come with Bluetooth support as standard for the most part anyway. My mum's got a hearing aid and she like tunes into like Zoom meetings on the laptop with it. So she sort of basically uses it as headphones as well as a hearing aid, which is kind of cool. So so Zoom meetings go straight into through a hearing aid. But like using this kind of technology, not just people who are deaf or hard of hearing, but also just people who happen to have Bluetooth headphones or anything like that can participate in this, like audio system where you can like listen to guided tours of places, or
What kind of information is it usually? Is it stuff like, is it, because I remember seeing them most often in like galleries, so it would obviously be some kind of like narration as to, this painting, the whatever.
there's galleries. It's a lot on the tube, so there's a lot of
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
so a lot of help as well.
Mm.
A lot of it is an accessibility thing. I think it tells people where things are if they need help or how to get more help. Just provides general useful.
This isn't the
information.
point, but it'd be interesting to tune in as a non-deaf person. Obviously, I don't, and this isn't. I don't need it, and this isn't the point. But it'd be interesting to just tune into that and see what it's saying. It's like
Yeah. Well,
secret information.
I think it's an interest. Like, I'd be interested to hear, like what people who use the induction loop would feel about it. I'm sure there's it's one of those things that
Is there an
everyone.
argument? Is there, as there is in some cases with stuff like this, is there an argument against modernizing it because it's less accessible?
Yeah, well,
or less
I haven't
simple to access?
I haven't heard of one as of yet, but because at the moment, as it currently exists, it sort of sits relatively firmly in the this is like need like a disability aid, as it were. Whereas if they expand out the technology, it will be a disability aid, but it will also be an aid for people who might not necessarily need it, but something it might make their lives a bit easier. For various disabilities that we haven't even conceived of, maybe non-verbal autistic people might be able to make use of it. So they're not able to ask for help, but they can tune in and get help. Or I don't know enough about accessibility requirements to really understand how it could necessarily be an improvement.
I wonder if there's not to make this antagonistic for no reason, but I know the deaf people. Generalization, but deaf culture is very sort of defensive of itself. I remember. Do you remember the TV show called See Here?
Oh, I don't think maybe I'm not sure.
So back in the day, it was like a weekly magazine show for deaf people. It was like an hour long every week.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch it just because I found it interesting. And I remember one of the things is, I'm not saying all deaf people, but obviously, but there was a section of the deaf community that was very hostile to cochlear implants because they saw it as destructive. They saw it where I don't know exactly, but it's essentially it makes you not deaf to some extent. It makes you able to hear. And they saw that as destructive to their culture because, the culture has a language and it's destroying that language. It's destroying the need for people to use that language and engage with the culture. Which was like, oh, that's interesting, because I was relatively young and I thought, getting rid of a disability is just a good thing, and that was an interesting alternative way to look at it. I do wonder if this is their system and now it's being used. They're getting information that isn't pertinent to them. They're getting information for other people where, I wonder if there's any resistance to it from that.
I'd be interested. I suspect that might be one of those things that sort of plays out as it happens.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm not saying it sounds like a great thing. It sounds like a really useful thing.
But what you don't want then is if you're a deaf person, your aid to have like adverts start creeping in. So
or even just having to wait 15 minutes to get to the stuff that's pertinent for you.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is the devil's in the detail, how it's used, all that kind of stuff. I mean, personally, I've always felt that we, as a society, have dropped the ball by not teaching sign language in school. Because
100%, yeah. Because it's very easy to learn as languages go, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, and also. There are genuine, sort of, the accessibility issues aside, there are genuine use cases for a visual language. Because human beings, as sort of from an evolutional natural point of view, we're social animals. That's what we are. That's where our strengths come from. So I see it as a way of improving on that, augmenting that particular strength by increasing our avenues of communication.
Yeah, well, one thing that's frustrating in that regard, I agree with you entirely. My niece, actually, her granddad is deaf, so she can sign to a decent level. So obviously, when you know people, you got somebody in the family, you tend to learn it anyway. But yeah, I think teaching it in schools is a really good idea. But one thing that's frustrating is every language in the world seems to have its own version of sign language for deaf people. When that seems to be, unless I'm missing something linguistically, that seems to be unnecessary since there's no yeah, it could be one global sign language. I mean, even ASL, American Sign Language, and British BSL are different. I think largely incompatible, I think.
The way that I understand it, and I could be completely wrong with this, is that sign language riffs off a lot of Britishisms and the
But that could just be vocabulary, specific vocabulary. You could all the stuff that is common could be common, and then you could still have regional variations, right?
I don't know.
Like it would be nice if a British signer and a signer from Azerbaijan could have the same sign for cat or dog.
Yeah, but
fence.
language is so much more than that, right? Like I think there.
Well, my understanding is sign language is very low on grammar, so
Yeah.
that I don't think that would be a huge. I mean, again, I'm not a linguist. I'm not deaf. I may be misunderstanding something, but that's how it seems to me. Like it is one instance where a global language could be perfectly, without no frictionless, essentially.
I'm not sure. I mean, that's a dream, but I mean, it's one of the like I don't know. Languages tend to be too like with sign language. If you can look at sign language, British sign language, and there's a lot of stuff that you can pick up.
Yeah,
Which, if it was a different language entirely, I wouldn't be able to.
yeah.
That,
But you mean because it's British? Like, no, I think that would apply because I think my understanding is I mean, every language has a grammar, but
Yeah.
it's virtually free of grammar. It's the equivalent of I go place. There's no conjugation or there's not many sort of the little connecty words. It is just sort of like noun, verb, adjective, kind of. And you just.
I don't. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of cultural references in it.
That's always going to be true of British English and American English. Like we have our differences and our points where we don't understand each other, but we can at least communicate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I
guess neither of us know enough about it to really come to a conclusion.
And the thing is, this is a podcast, so like the people who can tell us aren't going to be listening. Unless you are, then
You know what? I didn't even realise that. I was like the deaf people who. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, the blind people get a great experience. They get a completely,
Yeah, the
sorted.
exact same thing. Yeah.
But well, sorry. So I hope we haven't.
I mean, if there does happen to be a deaf listener who, I don't know, takes the podcast, transcripts it, and reads it, like, get in touch. But yeah,
Or maybe just like puts it in headphones and blasts it crazy loud. Because that could, if you got some hearing, it's just a matter of volume.
Yeah. I don't necessarily always just a matter of volume, but yeah, I think there's situations where that is.
So, yeah, so only some situations. Some people just, I'm sure, it's.
Another thing, just something that's in my mind because I remember learning it on See Here. Some of the details of this might be misremembered because this was like the 90s, but I remember there was one item on See Here where it was talking about there's this village somewhere in South America, I think, where there's a particular like genetic whatever where most people in this and it's a village in South America that's like almost its own culture. Mm-hmm. And most people of that community are deaf. I think it's like it's like 9 out of 10 people are deaf.
Oh, okay.
Because of this genetic whatever. So sign language is their first language, and the non-deaf people have to fit into that, which is really interesting.
But yeah. I mean, as provided you got fingers and hands and stuff. So I wonder. Yeah, I think you can do sign with one hand, right? To a degree.
I assume it depends on the sign and blah 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 blah. But I assume there are ways to, if you are lacking certain limbs. I assume there's. I mean, people paint with their feet, don't they? Lacking arms.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Who do you reckon the best foot artist is?
I don't know the name of any. I don't even want. I hate feet. I don't even want to think about it.
World's best top 30 feet artist, Deviant Art.
Yeah, fucking deviants.
Artists who paint with their feet have unique brain patterns. Oh my god, wow. Okay, all right, they're good. Okay, I'll say. Yeah, I mean, just look at this one. This is just the first one that came up.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's no reason you can't get in terms of broad Painting's largely, if you're painting well, they always said, well, when you're in art school, they always tell you paint from the elbow. Don't paint with the wrist. You're not moving the fingers. You're not moving the wrist. You're moving the elbow. So since you don't need that like manual dexterity for painting, you don't need finger dexterity or wrist dexterity. There's no huge real reason why you couldn't get as good or very close with a different limb for sure. Especially, a leg has almost the same freedom of motion as an arm if you're sitting in the right posture. So yeah, why not?
I'm not very coordinated with my feet. I'm not even a great like.
I mean, we don't have much practice though, other than walking and kicking or whatever.
Yeah,
But I assume it is a case of motor skills build up over time when you practice.
yeah. I guess so. Muscles and stuff as well.
Yeah,
But that guy's good.
I mean, it's a very it's a particular kind of painting. It's very Bob Ross, but yeah,
It's exactly Bob Ross, as is the. But he's got other paintings in the background that are slightly less Bob Ross.
No, they're pretty well. I mean, it's very technical competent. Whether it's particularly artistically whatever is up for debate.
Well, but we're only critiquing his technical.
Fair
ability,
enough.
You
Fair
know,
enough, yeah.
Everything, because you don't need feet to have a soul.
I mean, if we're taking, if it's not just about being this kind of technically competent, I mean, you could be a Pollock just with your mouth, just spit paint onto a canvas.
You could do, but with Pollock, was it meant to be aesthetic, or was there something else to it?
Yeah. There's more to it, but yeah. So the point is that at a superficial glance, it looks chaotic and just random mess.
Yeah.
But as you look at it, patterns emerge. There's echoes. There's rhythms to it. It was very much about there being a rhythm. He was he was thinking a lot about music when he was painting, or not thinking about it when he was, but there was a connection there. So yeah, it's a lot about those internal rhythms, and then so that's about becomes about like the line between intentionality and randomness. Mm-hmm. So it's he doesn't have complete control over what he's doing because it is very splattery, is scattering it, but there is some control. It's not chaos. It's not randomness.
Okay, that seems like the case with all kinds of art, for the most part.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's why it's interesting. It is a comment on art in general. To like, all art is to some degree this. You have some control, but not complete control. The idea that we have complete control and this is just you imagine it in your mind and then you paint it is nonsense. There's always some, happy accidents and whatnot.
Although, does that apply to pixel art?
I don't care. I have no respect for it.
I like pixel art. I rate pixel art as a medium. It's nice.
Fair enough.
I just kind of like it. It's no, like.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's not for me, and I don't care.
You don't respect it.
I don't. Perhaps not the exact right way to put it, but something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a Pollock in. I've chosen one that has a bit more rhythm to it, but you can see the sort of like. You can see the repeating rhythms, the things that echo with each other, the things that connect to each other and make the other thing make sense visually. Like it's not just random. It is creating, in some sense, a picture that is cohesive and makes sense together.
Yeah, no, that is definitely like, it looks both random but also very structured at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's because the thing is, it's.
Sorry, for anybody who wants to look along, this is Autumn Rhythm number 30.
Ah, good. This is
he literally says rhythm in the title. There's a clue.
Because it's like it's consistent, right? There's not like there's a shitload of white on one side and a shitload of black on the other. Like it's but
it's also not it's not like uniform. It's not a pattern exactly, but we see pattern in it. There is in some sense there's a pattern there, but there isn't. But it is not. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't always use the mathematical because mathematics probably can describe it, but you know what I mean. And also, there's you see it in the ground. You see there's those things that are actually I think brush strokes, like the light brown marks on the lighter brown canvas. So that's a structure behind. That's like the superstructure of the thing. That's if it were music, that would be like the bass.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's whatever blowing the strings, and you can think of it in those terms.
And this is but this is also designed to be pretty or aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Aesthetically pleasing, but also make you think, which I think is the borderline between low art and high art. It's not just there to be pretty. It will also make you think about what you said. Yeah, well, that's true of all art, and it's to make you think about art, to make you think about the process and what it is, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, I like it.
I like it. I like Pollock. Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah. My dad's got a lovely picture that is a bit abstract in that sort of similar way, where it's I think it's like Broadway or something, but it's all splattered down. So you've got the vague shape of Broadway,
Mm.
but it's like a mirage or a like it's done. It's a bit Pollocky in that regard, where it's been.
I'll say that, yeah. So this in terms of genres, this is abstract expressionism,
Mhm.
which did sort of develop out of, with some things in between, what you're describing, which sounds like impressionism,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
where you're trying to. I would say the difference between like a classical painting of like a still life or whatever, versus an impressionistic painting is the difference between. I don't know, I'm trying to use a metaphor that involves like poetry. The impressionistic view is like a bit more poetic, a bit more suggestive, a bit more letting your imagination painting something that isn't literally one to one how the thing looks like, but that the end result of that is it actually gives you a better impression of what the thing really looked like.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you can't on a canvas reproduce what you see, especially when you see something you have an emotional response as well.
Yeah.
So it's to some extent it's how you felt when you saw this thing. That I don't want to go too hard on that. I think that's the minor component, but it's more acknowledging that the eyes and looking at a painting and looking at reality can never be the same thing, because one's a flat surface and the other one's a process that is optical and psychological.
Yeah.
So it's more accurate while being less realistic, I would say, is the intent. Like poetry, how a poet, a description, a very bare bones prosaic description of a thing is more accurate, but then a poetic description representation is fuller in some way.
It's more. It describes how it makes you feel. Interestingly enough, actually, it reminds me a little bit, unsurprisingly, when I'm driving the bus, and when the sun's a bit low in the sky, I've got these glasses. They're yellow tinted. What are they called? Polarizing glasses, and they fit on top of my glasses, and they give the world like this lovely yellow hue. That it reminds me, the sun's going in the setting at the beginning of at the end of the day, and it makes the world just seem a little bit softer, a little bit more mellow. That's it, yeah. And and I don't know, it's just a little bit about how it changes. It just chills me out a bit, just to I'm tempted to
I mean the sensory inputs, whichever ones we have, are very important to us, but they're not. We like to imagine them as very straightforward, like like a camera, and they're really, really not. There's so much going on in between, light hitting the retina and how we interpret that. Yeah.
How's your divinity going?
Oh, it was done a while ago. Do you want to get going?
Yeah. Shall we wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Any tech news? Age verification, boo.
Age verification, go fuck itself. Yeah. Reticulum. Have you heard of reticulum?
No.
Okay. This is something that Wing's I think we both sort of encountered it at the same time, watched a couple of videos, read a couple of papers. So what it is, I'm going to describe this poorly because I've just watched a couple of videos and read a couple of papers and then not really thought about it. So if I don't have the information to hand, it's going to be a poor description. But it's a new network protocol that's designed. It's designed such that it can go down to very, very low bandwidth devices, including Morse code.
Okay.
Which is not particularly useful, but what is useful is people on radios. So, devices that use radio for an internet connection, it can go down to like super low bandwidth. That's a feature of it. It's not the point of it, but it's essentially, in effect, an alternative internet.
Oh.
That is it's peer to peer. So it's the most important characteristic is it is interface agnostic. Hence, you being able to connect to it with a Morse code device.
Right.
You don't need any. So a lot of these mesh networky type things
Yeah.
need a particular piece of hardware to connect to them.
Yeah.
This is an alternate internet that you can connect to with basically anything that is a networking thing, in the very loosest sense. And they've got, so it's a whole. It's not a thing running on top of TCP/IP.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect to it through TCP/IP, but it's not running. It is an alternative to TCP/IP. It's encrypted at the base level. Everything's encrypted. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. It does sort of ad hoc, semi-ad hoc routing. It's not a true mesh, so it doesn't get swamped super easy like the true meshes. But it's a peer-to-peer sort of self-routing network. So it is potentially the escape internet that we go to get away from this internet. And Wing's been playing around with it. Maybe we should have Wing on to talk about it, because he understands it far better than I do, because he's implemented it and he's been playing around.
We definitely need Wing on.
Yeah. So shall I end that description? Look into Reticulum. It's really interesting. And then shall we maybe have a chat with Wing sometime if he's up for it, and do that as our next thing?
Yeah. I mean, I got... well, I won't bother like going over my work schedule or nothing, but like... I'm working 4 days a week now, so there's definitely been more time to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I want to set up a. I'll just show you what it looks like briefly when you, because it has something that is analogous. So it doesn't have any of the protocols we have on the internet, because it's a new thing. It's got its own protocols, but it has something that's somewhat analogous to websites, and they look. I'll show you what they look like. They look really cool.
It's a Gemini.
It's kind of cool. And one thing that Wing mentioned to me the other day that's really interesting is if you put a shebang so if you're hosting, I don't know what I think it's called NomadNet or something, but whatever their equivalent of websites is called. If you're hosting one of those, and you write, it's got its own format that's not HTML. And if at the top of your page you do a shebang, as in the hash and the exclamation mark that tells things that is a shell script or something to be executed, it will treat it as a shell script. So then you can do essentially a dynamic web page just as a shell script. Which sounds fucking amazing. So actually, your thing you showed me the other day where it's like an RSS feed of all the members of our community.
Oh yeah.
As a web page. So you wouldn't need the step where you turn it into the web page. You would just echo out the information as the script is running, and that would be the web page.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. It seems really fucking cool, and it's very new. So it's very baby steps. People are working out. It's like the early internet. It's like, what can we do with this? People are trying things out. So it's like it's fresh and it's explorative and experimental, and it seems really fucking cool.
That's amazing. Incidentally, what you were just referring to, we should mention at least a little bit. If you go to freebooters.uk, I haven't put a link to it. I'll put a link to it. There is a so freebooters.uk/blog is the actual URL, but I'll put a link to it on freebooters.uk on the website. And it is an it is a, what do you call it? Like, it's an
RSS feed, isn't it, really?
It's an RSS feed of other RSS feeds.
Yeah.
Which
there's a term for that. An aggregator.
That's the word I was thinking for. Yeah, I need to put a little bit more. I don't know. I want to work on it a little bit. I want to have like a little thing on the top that says when it was last updated, because it's at the moment running through a systemd service every hour.
Yeah.
Which is, do you think that's right? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, well, I did a similar thing for just the things that I like and made it my default web page, which I found healthy. Blah 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 blah. One problem I had with it, which I don't think will be a problem for you, because I was pulling from YouTube RSS.
Oh, yeah.
And that really doesn't like being hit too often, so I've put mine on 2 hours, which seems to be comfortable for it. But yeah, hour, 2 hours seems reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, I never got on with using RSS with YouTube videos. I don't know, maybe I just didn't find the right rhythm for it or whatever. Most of my RSS I actually do on my phone. It's like really good sort of... alternative to social media, really, to be honest. A little bit like what you said, sort of. I sort of know with Mastodon is that you're right. It is a little bit sort of. It's all right. I like it, but
it's insubstantial. I think that's always been my problem with Twitter and that, because it's short form. It is fundamental. Not that there's never anything substantial on there. I'm not saying that, but its character is insubstantiality, as opposed to this, which is a bunch of interesting things to read.
Yeah, and it's the longer form I like, and the more thoughtfulness I
So
like.
just did I do this last night? Just shout out to Subderm. Like he's writing amazing posts at the moment on his blog. They're really interesting, and he
Oh,
writes
okay.
really well.
I need to add Subderm
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
to
Subderm.
this.
Yeah, he does
Yeah,
really good stuff. It's
that's good. I mean, you've been writing a little bit more. You know, I should write a bit more.
yeah. That was largely I was particularly anxious, and that's a way to distract
Yeah,
myself. But yeah,
I should write during the
uh,
break. Sometimes I got a break that I just can't, or do voice notes or something a bit more. I'm still working out what to do with my break. Sometimes I just go and get a big meal.
and just for things, Subderm's URL if anybody wants to go check out his stuff. Subdermal cassette loader, all one word.com.
Oh, good URL there.
Yeah, great.
Excellent. Yeah. But hey, we've got freebooters.uk. Oh, also another tech thing. I've moved our what you call it, DNS manager registrar
Oh yeah.
away from Namecheap to Mythic Beasts.
A lot of people seem to be moving at the moment. Is there something going on, or is it just?
Well, Gandhi is just getting increasingly enshittified, which used to be like a bit of a go-to.
Sorry, what? Oh, no, right. Okay,
Gandhi. Do you know Gandhi?
No.
They used to be really good when they were a small company. Ghosty wrote something that sort of covers a lot about what did Ghosty wrote? He wrote it was like I think it was Ghosty. Damn, I need to be able to just click on just Ghosty. That would
Yeah.
or color code it or something. Anyway, on Ghosty's blog, he so many movie reviews and video game reviews. Come on, Ghosty. Man of Steel, no. Kingsman franchise, Knives Out, Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Quest for the Perfect Registrar. God, he wrote that in 2023.
I know he's been moving. He's been moving lately as well. So
okay.
I guess it's yeah.
So yeah,
I've used Namecheap because they're not the cheapest, but they're cheap, relatively cheap, and just their UI is quite good. Like the DNS stuff is easy to set up, and I was just like, why move?
So I moved away from them because they were quite cheap, but when I wanted to transfer my .wales domain into them, just get it off Gandhi, have it all in one place, and they then started pissing me around with, we can't do it on this website, we'll do it on this service or something like that. They had I think they were trying to I felt like they were trying to shovel me into using this new service that they wanted.
Like trying to upsell you, essentially.
Sort of, yeah. Side sell me, maybe.
Okay.
So Mythic Beast was one I always meant to look at because it's a British company, very very old internet in their sort of approach. They do a bit of hosting as well. That's not too expensive. But really, what they do, they're quite cheap. They're very very they're about as cheap as you can expect. But they only do DNS.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't do any of the bells and whistles add-on unless I think you can pay for some email hosting and web hosting and stuff, but it's genuinely no nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's they're just like good, they're straightforward. Their transfer wizards are fine. It does the job, and it does the job at a price I want it to, and it comes with no frills. They're not hard on upselling. The support seems pretty good, although I've not needed it as of yet. So I've moved over to them, and so far they're quite they've been recommended a few times by people on the Fediverse and in our circles. I think what's the one that Ghosty? So Ghosty went to what's the one that Ghosty went to? What's the one that Ghosty went to? I've got to find it again. Yeah. Quest for the Perfect Registrar. From Netim. And
is that in 2023?
That's in 2023. Yeah.
It's changed recently, so this is not an endorsement. Blah blah blah.
No, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily endorse Mythic Beast, but people I know who are good are fans of it.
Yeah.
And so far, I've had zero issues with them whatsoever. I like the fact that they're very much not trying to upsell you. They use straightforward terms. They don't use cutesy terms or anything like that. You can actually just run. They do stuff like like you can do Mastodon or WordPress or something like that. That's hosting that's specific. So you can actually do a Mastodon instance. You just pay for them for a Mastodon instance. That being said, it does get quite expensive because I'm assuming that's just what Mastodon instances cost. But like 75 quid a month. So it's for serious Mastodon instances, not just for like single users.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they do run a few of the. They do. Oh, Nextcloud. What's Matomo? Is that? Do you know what that is?
I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is. For what it's worth, Reticulum does not have a DNS system, and that's fucking great. I think you have a sort of hash.
Yeah.
I think it's like a name that you set and a hash. I think, and that is how you're identified on the network.
That's good.
That's how that machine is identified on the network. There's no intermediary to map something to something else.
Yeah. Virtual servers. Okay, so virtual servers are about $5 a month for your bottom tier.
That's reasonable, yeah.
It's okay. What do we use? Hetzner I think is better value, but if I don't know, yeah. But $5 a month is fine as well, I guess. I don't think you get as much as you do with Hetzner, but a lot of people I trust use Mythic Beasts, and for DNS stuff, so far so good. It works. I think one of the things I find refreshing about it is that they don't have a lot of additional bullshit. It is just log in, do your DNS, get out. Like it's no no fancy extras, no upselling, no ads, no, do you want to buy this one as well as this one and this one as well as this one?
Yeah, which is, I mean, DNS is one of those things that I don't want to have to care about.
Yeah.
I just want it to work. I don't fucking care. So yeah, that sounds ideal.
Oh, interestingly enough, right? So I clicked on this the other day. I clicked on they used to sell SSL certificates. But they actually say here they no longer recommend customers use commercial certificates and instead suggest using Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good.
That's nice. They're just like sort of, I don't know. It's things like that. Just seems like a no nonsense company, and so far I'm happy with them. Yeah, not like a hard endorsement at the moment, but I've yet to find anything. And I copied they had a wizard. I used the wizard. Wizard worked. Not that it's a complicated thing to copy the DNS stuff across, but there you go. Yeah, so pretty happy with that.
Cool. Yep.
Cool. All right, should we wrap it up there?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Off to play some Div now. Toodaloo.
Bye.